Now they've got to close. They can't do any more work because I'm exploding. They can't get any more work done that they needed to do. So they have to get out. And now they have to get me off the bypass machine. Now, to make matters as bad as they possibly can get, they couldn't get my heart started. So they could take me off bypass machine. They used 5 times the adrenaline that it takes to get a heart started. It took them an hour to get my heart started. So, of course, I was still on life support. An hour and a half, something like this, to get the heart started again. After 1 hour and 30 minutes, yes, of work to restart, the heart began to beat. A total of 9 hours and 30 minutes of surgery. The doctor told the family I'd suffered a stroke that paralyzed the entire left side of my body. Now, I'm glad I got this thing so I can walk around, because I got a little bit of a limp on the right side of my brain had a stroke, left side of my body. But I think I've recovered, both mentally and to some extent physically. You know, when God blesses you, and I have to interject this right here, when God gives you a blessing, when God saves your life, when God gives you a miracle and gives you more time, if He gives you 1 minute, it's a miracle. If He gives you 1 day, it's a miracle. If He gives you a week or a year, it's a miracle. Believe me, anybody who God has bought more lifetime for, whether you've got cancer, whether you've had heart trouble, no matter what's wrong with you, God is blessing you and giving you a blessing for every additional day you've got. And to say that God hasn't healed you is absolutely wrong. God has healed you for 1 more day or 1 more week or 1 more year. God don't put a time on healing, because we're all going to die. God can't put a time on healing. Okay, we'll get back off of that. The doctors came out and told my wife that I suffered a stroke that paralyzed the entire left side of my body. He also told my family and my wife that I would probably not come out of the anesthetic. Of course, they didn't expect me to come out of the surgery either, but they still had a live body. I mean, they had a body that was not technically dead anymore. On life support alive. They said that I would probably not come out of the anesthetic, and if I did, it would be a very long time. He did a wonderful job of preparing them with really the very worst that can happen, because the very worst scenario, you might as well face reality. You know, I mean, you got somebody that just didn't almost make it through surgery, so you're not going to tell them, "Hell, but this guy's going to be fine." So if I did, it'd be a very long time. He did not know what brain damage was done. And I don't think anybody else did, because for the first 2 or 3 weeks, I suffered so many delusions, and I'm aware of them. You don't have to be asleep to have delusions when you're that thoroughly medicated and that thoroughly drugged. Everything, when my eyes were shut, everything was in motion. As soon as I opened them, the walls came back. It was unreal. It was wild. I gave my wife a hard time about everything. I thought I was at home. I thought I was in the car. I tried to get out of bed. I wanted her to help me. And the reason I struggled so much about the bed problem was I couldn't realize why I couldn't get out of bed was because I was totally paralyzed on the left side, but I didn't know that. So anyways, I had these delusions that were really, really bad news. Another thing I talked about a little earlier was the doctors. During the 5 weeks of recovery and the surgery and so on, there were, and I counted them last night from my Medicare statement, summary statements, 28 doctors have just worked on me. 28 doctors. I've got their names. I even brought him along. Something else had to happen. Now I just got out of recovery after something like a week and a half or something like that in recovery, which is way too long. Still got a trachea and all that good stuff. And I got staph infection. This is a killer in a hospital, people. This is a killer. I got staph infection. Now, I got it because something wasn't sterile. I mean, I was in a room that was quarantined. Brian knows. And everybody that came in there, I mean, the nurses, anybody that was going to touch me needed to have the gloves on and a gown on and all that stuff. But anyway, I got staph infection, got an extremely high fever, which was very difficult to cope with. Had to go back. I just got out of ICU and had to go back to ICU for 2 more days. I'm almost done. A great deal of mental and physical improvement took place at the end of 3 weeks. Now, it seems like this can never end. Now I needed a second surgery to implant a cardiac defibrillator. My heart rhythm, because of all these problems, has gone haywire. And I don't just have a pacemaker, it's a defibrillator, because if my heart starts to beat too rapidly, it has to shock it. I have a built-in thing they put on your chest to shock you. You've seen them do in ambulances. Only mine's built in, but it does the same thing to you. It kicks you in the chest like a mule. It didn't happen to me yet, and I don't know if there will, but it's built in. It's wired. It's right here. It's wired to my. It has wires that go directly into my heart that can do the same thing. And this is strictly Star Trek. This is strictly Star Trek. We were at the hospital Thursday to get this checked out and talk to the doctor. And it's like a tricorder. They put the tricorder, this box up here, and it puts on the screen everything that's happened to my heart in the last 6 months. And everything that's taken place is recorded. The battery power is recorded. What's happening presently is on the screen. It's unreal. So they know that it's still okay, it's still working, and we hope it doesn't have to stop fibrillation, because the pacemaker part of it is handling that's okay so far without shocking me. Seemed like that was enough. My doctor was Dr. Toyohira. He's Oriental, and he was considered by all the staff and all of the cardiology groups and everybody basically in Knoxville to be the best and the only one who could have pulled this off, done this surgery. And we don't know his beliefs. He's Oriental. I was one of his last patients before he's retired. He's done this for years, so he was an expert. Like I say, we don't know his beliefs, but Dessa asked him after surgery, well, you know, if you didn't believe, if you didn't think, if you really believed when I called the family that this is not going to come out of this surgery, why did you go on? Why did you go on? And you know what he said? He said, it's because I didn't know where his life ended. Everybody, nurse came out and told my wife, or 2 weeks later, everybody that was in OR at Baptist that day for those 9.5 hours, except the doctor, believed that I was dead, and I was. But they accepted the death and he hadn't. They came out and they told us, this one came, that no one left that OR a non-believer. Man, if God left me here to save that many people, that's just really fantastic. Now when Dessa and I see the surgery, the surgeon, he just shakes his head. I mean, he really just shakes his head, because this can't be. I mean, that's his answer. This can't be. Dr. Toyohira was his name, and he said that this is a miracle. And Dessa asked him how many miracles he'd had. He said, just this one. Really made us think.